What's up, YouTube? Whew. Still in the process of all of this transformational gold that I'm uncovering for myself that honestly was always there. I just followed shiny object syndrome anybody. I followed excuses anybody. I followed, I'm not doing it right, so I better do it like them because they look like they're doing it right. And that's why I got myself in quite a pickle. And it's so nice to get back to my frameworks, the ones that are my IP, my lived, learnt experience, because that's the best way I can help people, right? Is when I developed it from trial and error, got it to work, and can now show people through my example. I'm now the leader, which is, naturally where I've always been in life. I was a project manager, which meant I led teams. I was the captain of my netball team, which meant I led a team. I was actually the leader in my well, we call them marching bands, but when I say that and Americans hear the word marching bands, you will think like with a band, but they weren't. They're just a troop of marching girls. I don't know what you guys call that. So anyway, all that to say, it feels so good when you finally come back to being in alignment and flow with who you are, what you're meant to do, and you move and shift your identity to match that. Then all of the doubt, all of the fear, all of the concerns, all of the worry quieten down. Don't go away. I don't think they ever will go away. They just get quieter because the passion, the desire, the enthusiasm that you have to get out there and be seen, hello, everybody, and show up and tell everybody what you do, how you can help them because you helped yourself, that overrules, overrides, and puts you back in the driver's seat. So that's why you'll be seeing a bit more of me. So, what I want to talk about today is planning. It's one of the areas that I have spent multi decades doing, learning, earning seven figures from, if I'm completely honest with you all, which I like to be. I like to be transparent. And what I always found in the projects I got to manage versus what other project managers did is that I always planned to fail. What? I know, planning to fail. But what does that mean? It means I would come up with the plan, I would come up with who needs to do what when, I would come up with the dates, and then I would sit there and I would think to myself, now I need, we in the trade called it a mitigation strategy for any risk and issues that will arise. Because guess what, people? They always happen. We have a golden path, which is if everything goes as we want it to go and it's that straight line, then we can get from A to B really quickly, really easy, and all of this will happen. In reality, we must plan for the shit because the shit is part of the planning. And that is what I'm finding a lot of the people that I get to support and help aren't doing. They sit there and they think about who they want to become, but they're not thinking about who they want to transform to become. They're thinking about the end result, that destination. I want to be a six-figure earner. I want to be a seven-figure earner. Truth is, you don't really, do you? Don't you want to help people first and foremost? And you keep losing sight of that because you're chasing the money. One of my clients, bless her, yesterday's call, Liz, I have to make thousands of dollars by July. Like, okay, well, how many emails have you sent? How many times have you shown up? What value have you put out into the world? The answer was zero. And she knows better. This woman does run a six-figure business. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, what the heck are you doing? And then she's telling me about another shiny object she's decided to follow. Instead, honing, crafting, living, breathing the solution she actually makes the money from and sells. And that's what tends to happen is that when we start to focus on the cash, we start to focus on the income. If we are wired, and maybe you guys can relate to this because this is my story, and you grew up poor and you're used to hearing things like money doesn't grow on trees. Well, actually, it does. Money's paper, right? Back in the old days, it was. Now it's ones and zeros and it doesn't exist really other than in the banks. Or we can't afford that, or money's tight. All of those money stories, which are part of your identity, unless you've shifted them, will cap the amount you can earn. And that's what I constantly see. And that was definitely true for me. Because if we do not value ourselves, our contribution, our IP, our thought processes, our ability to lead people, to help people get results, it makes it really, really hard to show up and sell. Really hard because you have this unconscious sales story running when you're selling with all of the, I don't know, I can help you. I don't think I can get you a result. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Why can't you just pay me? I need the money. I'm broke. And all of that runs. So we have to clean that up. And in order to clean that up, I find you've got to focus on what I call your knitting. What do you do? Who do you help? Why do you help them? Why does it work? Why should they join you? What do you believe about it? What makes it miraculous? All of those things have to come within so they just shine out. So when we're looking to just make money, we can distance that emotion because we get into, well, what would they buy? And I agree, we must consider what somebody would be prepared to pay or could pay. I'm very much a person that will say, if you've got a really good offer, and you know who you're targeting it to, by default, you're going to understand their socioeconomic factor. And yes, people will always find money for what they value and what they think will help them. I understand that. But when we're in a slight depressed state, which is what we're at, money isn't so free. So therefore, we have to think about, well, what can they afford without going into debt potentially, or if they go into debt that they're going to get, they just know they're going to get that return back. Because when we keep that clean in our own minds, we can have a conversation in a lot more clearer way. But that's where we price it for them. As I used to say to everybody, because I'm a bit of a socialist, I guess I always think that everybody should have the best of everything. I'm just wired that way. And I used to be told, Liz, if you want to help the homeless, you can't charge them. They don't have any money to pay you with. And I'm like, they still need homes, right? So just keep that in mind. I think it's Alex Hormozi who said, if you want to be rich, sell to the rich, because it's easier, in his opinion. I still think the rich need to know the value. Right? They want to know the value. They also have different conditions. Is it a brand? Is it me? Well, I won't go there. All that's to say, that's what planning is, because pricing is part of planning as well. So we have to think about, well, what can go wrong so that we have a plan in place from our prefrontal cortex, from our human sort of decision-making, logical, rational side, not the little lizard unconscious side that'll just panic and be in fear the minute you hit one of these things that might go wrong, because then you just refer to the plan that was correctly crafted and thought through. If this happens, I will do this. And that's what pushes you through. That's what shifts your identity, that allows you to stay in the version of you want to be. Not the vision of you are, because the vision of you are is the lizard brain version, right? It's the version that will rerun all of the old patterns, all of the old habits, that gives you your results today. To get new results, new thoughts have to be created. New ways of being have to be created. For me, that's why I plan, right? I can do all my thought work over here, which I use with Think. I have the plan in the middle because the plan proves and gives me strategic, measurable information that my thought work is working, or I need to go back and fix it. And then I get to prosper. And here's the beautiful thing about prospering. It's not just about money. I've been rich, I've been poor. Rich is better, totally agree with you. However, I would rather be poor and happy than rich and unhappy. Let that sit with you for a second, because happiness outweighs any monetary value, in my humble opinion. And having worked through third world countries, India, Africa. And I also did some work in South America. And it was a revelation to me, because the men would sit in circles and have gossip sessions, because my job, I'm basically tech program manager. So it meant that I was always the only female in a lot of these projects that I would manage. And so it was quite enlightening to me. But the thing that stuck with me is that no matter how poor they were, they lived such a happy, joyful existence. And that to me is prosperous. Yeah, it's nice if you get into your BMW and you drive off to Louis Vuitton and you're in your Louis Vuittons, if that's what fills your boat. Mine, I go down and I ride my 100-gram Grand Prix warm blood horse. That's what fills my boat. Anyway, I digress as usual. I've lost my train of thought. But all of this just to say, Think, plan, prosper. Do one thing, do it well, keep connected to it. Don't let the money be the driving force. Money's a very poor motivator. Keep working at identity changing. What you've got today is in all likelihood what you'll have tomorrow unless something moves, changes, or switches. That's the work that we're here to do. That's what coaching is. That's what transformation is. That's what education really is, right? It's helping somebody go from A to B, that bridge to transformation. So let me ask you this. I always like to end with, well, I usually end, I think it's new for here, YouTube. I always like to end with a little action. So get clear on who you want to be, not what you want to do, but who do you want to be in this world? If these were your last few days, what would you have liked people to write on your epitaph? Is it called an epitaph? Can't remember if that's the right word, but basically, what would you like them to say about you? Start there. Get clear, because we can't get somewhere if we don't know where we're going. So start with your vision, and then we work back. How do we become the person who lives that existence? All right, everybody, that's my day for today on YouTube. I hope that was useful. Come join me inside my BFF club. If that's the work that speaks to you, if what I've said resonates with you, if you can keep up with my brain, which sometimes takes me all over the map, which is why I use that board a lot to keep me honest. Otherwise, here's what I want you to do. Like I said, the epitaph, because at the end of the day, you want to be going to bed proud of you, proud of what you've achieved, proud of what you've overcome, proud of what you've done. When we go to bed and we're not proud, that's when we wake up in a mood that doesn't lead to success for the following day. So be proud of you. And if you can't be proud of you, it's a decision and it's a choice. And that's where we start. Alrighty, bye. Talk to you all later. Bye. Oh, hang on. I'll turn it off.